welcome Ms. Katherine.
Hey. Hi. All right, so today I'm just going to kind of go through some techniques that I've used for modifying charts for Little Kids Rock, some techniques for working with some of our students, and yeah, we'll see. So, how to adapt charts and instruments for special learners, how to teach lyrics to early learners and ELs, especially students who can't, or in the early stages of learning how to read, how to help students with special needs become rock stars, classroom management tools, and what to look for in an IEP, because I think a lot of us have a really hard time. You know, I know a lot of you have like 200 students, maybe 45 IEPs, and you want to know how to look at that IEP and find all the information that you need. So we'll go through that. So when working with, oh wait, maybe I should tell you a little bit about my students right now. So it's a D75 high school in Elmhurst. My students are age 14 to 21, multiple disabilities. I have students with autism, intellectual disabilities, multiple disabilities, emotional disturbance. I previously worked at another school that was all students with autism. So there's a lot of different needs at my current school. So in order to help my students become rock stars, I think the most important thing that I've noticed is getting them engaged, like getting them interested into it. So a lot of the time, you know, you want to use music that interests them, and lucky for us, we teach modern band, so that's already happening. A lot of times I'll use the recorded version first for them to hear it and get into it, dance to it, clap to it, sing to it. It's really engaging, and then we can learn how to play it. Encouragement and celebration. I feel like it's important to always be positive when our students are trying something, even if it doesn't sound like what you want it to sound like. I always give and teach the other students to give a round of applause, to celebrate any effort, because I remember when I was in high school and I tried to sing and I wasn't well received. I didn't sing again until last year. So I think about that with my students, and I always celebrate and encourage them. So sometimes if there's something if I wanted to correct something that was going on, if they were playing something and I'm going to celebrate it, but I want to fix something, I'll spin it in a way that, oh, I love how you did that. That was so awesome. Next time, let's try pressing your finger a little harder, or something like that to make it positive. Sensitivity and silliness. I think it's really, you know, that's kind of how I run my classroom. I purposely make myself look like a clown a lot of the time and it's not that hard, because I am. Because I want to show them it's okay, that it's okay to be silly, it's okay to make mistakes. I'll make purposeful mistakes, mess up, and they laugh, and it's cool, it's great. Laugh, go for it. Individualized high expectations. The thing that I'm thinking about with that is that you should always assume they can do it. They can do everything that you're giving to them. They can look at our original Little Kids Rock charts and play it and rock out. And you start with that attitude and go from there, because a lot of them can. A lot of students can. And from that point, you continue to have high expectations. All right. So, some tools. Assistance with tracking. So, I have a lot of students that when they look at a chart, you know, they can look at it, they can figure out how to play the chords and all that stuff, but their visual tracking it's hard for them to go left to right and stay with it. So some of the tools that I use, first I point for them, then I teach them how to point, if they can do it, if they're not playing guitar, like if they're playing just a right-hand part, or they have a stand partner who can point for them. For my concert last Friday, I actually had my student teacher come in and sit with my bass player, and he just used a drumstick and pointed to the music as we went along, and the kid played the whole show. So, adjustments and modifications for physical reasons. So did I bring them? Oh, I didn't. Some students, motor skills might be an issue. So I have drumsticks with tubing on them that you can use so that they can grip easier if they can't grip very well. They're like bigger. You can talk to OTs, PTs, speech therapists. All those people are amazing. Please talk to them and use them. So I have them for drumsticks for one particular student with cerebral palsy, and he holds onto them there, and he rocks it. And we were doing bucket drumming, so I took his bucket, since he's in a wheelchair, and put it on a snare drum stand, angled it in. He's got his sticks, and he plays. There's a lot of different kind of modifications. As long as you're trying to figure it out, there's no right answer. Just try things. Let's see. Oh, I have a student who has limited use of her body except for her left hand and her head. So she plays the iPad guitar. We prop it up on the tray of her wheelchair with a wood piece that the wood shop teacher made. The iPad sits there and she's able to strum and change the chords. So that's a physical modification. Key change. Amazing. It's use the chords that they know if you want success from the beginning, if you want them to feel great. Capos, I just did that for, which song is it? I did it for, I think, Hall of Fame. We put the capo on the 3rd fret so that the guitars could play the chords they already knew. I didn't know about capos. I don't know anything about guitar, so that was like a big woohoo for me. Prompt levels, I'm going to go into that on the next page. I'll tell you what that is. And pictures. A lot of our students with autism especially, learn really well from pictures. And I'll show you some of those. And then the countdown and transition easer. What that is like a lot of students have a difficult time transitioning from room to room, activity to activity. So when I'm having the students play and now I want them to stop, they know, like typical conducting, they know when it's coming. 1, 2, 3, and stop. That's enough. But if we're going from an independent practice activity, I give them a countdown because they can prepare themselves to stop and they can give themselves that time. Certain classes, I'll count down from 5. Some classes I know they need a little bit longer, so I'll say 30-second warning, in 30 seconds we're going to stop. And then I'll count down from 5. And I think that eases a lot of anxiety for a lot of students. Okay, so the prompt levels, it's based on the principles of applied behavior analysis. Does everybody know about that? You know it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to help a student learn how to independently perform a task or learn a new skill. So this is the prompt chart. And basically if you're trying to teach a student how to play something and they're not able to do it independently, especially, this is particularly for students with autism, this is kind of how we can help them do it. So, for example, if I would, what's your name? Robin. Can you come to the keyboard? Do you mind? Woohoo, Robin! So Robin is a student who's just starting to play the keyboard. And I want Robin to find the black keys, okay? So Robin, find the black keys, but don't find the black keys. So Robin wasn't able to do it just yet. So maybe I would try saying, and I would point to the black keys. Why don't you play the black keys? She's sort of getting it. So I would try that again. Why don't you find the black keys? Great. So that's kind of what we're talking about. Thanks, Robin. You're fantastic. If we start from here, this is the most assistance. That's when you're giving a full physical prompt. That's when you would help somebody by taking their arm and placing it by the thing that you want them to do. Partial physical, maybe you would tap their elbow to get them to do it. Model, you show them. Visual, I would have a picture of the black keys, and I say, play the black keys. Verbal, that's kind of a natural cue sometimes. Gesture, I pointed to them, and then the natural cue. It sounds kind of like, well, duh, with this stuff, but when I really think about this, for some students, I notice and I see how I first had to start from here, and then they're here, and then they're here, and then eventually they're independent and able to play it or do something. This is, I Got a Feeling, the one that we all start with, right? Everybody plays this song, we're all done with it. We're all done with it, I'm definitely done with it. But I was noticing that a lot of my students were having a really hard time with just the chord charts and just the modeling. So I made this, and don't look at my manicure because it's really bad. And I gave them each one on their stands. And they had so much success with this. Just the picture of all of them. And some of the students who had issues with tracking, I paired them up with somebody and they went together. It worked great. So this is kind of, I'm going to be doing more of this with some other students and other songs because I'm done with this one. All right, so what to look for in an IEP? I mean, most of us know it, but when I first started teaching, I had no idea. So the cover page tells you the disability classification. The next things that I would say are the most important are the PLOP, or the present level of performance, which tells you where they're at, and then the measurable annual goals. That tells you what their goals are academically and for daily living skills and all that stuff for their year IEP. This tells me the most. And in my school, I have to take data on 3 IEP goals for every student, and I have 70 students. But this is all I look at now, and it makes it a lot clearer for me when I go. Okay, how to modify charts. I usually start with the original chart, unless it's in the wrong key, and then I don't. So start with the original chart, show them how to read it, and a lot of students will get it with that. I give them a lot of time to work on it on their own. And sometimes they're not on task, but I just go over and prompt them to get back on task. I walk the room, I consistently walk the room to get them back on task. If they're having a tough time, I ask them how they want me to modify their chart, because they need to advocate for themselves. So I ask them if they would like assistance. Most of the time they say yes. And I'll show you some of the modifications after this. The whole class in my school doesn't have the same chart. They all have something different for the most part. Different color code. Some people want color coding, some people want highlighting. Some people just want the root of the chord. Some people want it written out like this for a melody instead of the actual chart. So I have a whole room of different charts, and it works out. Okay, highlighting. I take the original chart, like those little keyboards that are on the LKR charts, I can't see what notes to hit, especially if they're the black notes. So I highlight, and that sometimes makes it very clear for a lot of my students. The guitar strings, the ones that they're supposed to play, especially if they're doing the 3-string chords, I will just highlight those 3 strings. The finger numbers, color coding. We've all seen this already. Martine does a ton of it. Really awesome. You guys all know Martine, right? Yeah. So I've had a lot of success with this. This is the second one. This is all I start out with usually. Just the what is it, the G chord and the C chord? Yeah, I think so. And I just start from here for the 3-string chords. Then as they progress, I'll add more. I'll add the full G and the D chord and go from there, because that's most of the songs, that's what has been working out. Reading and writing style. Sometimes chord pictures can be distracting, confusing, or overwhelming. It is for me a lot of the time. It gets really overwhelming for me, especially the guitar. So try writing just the note names, stickers on the guitar. Rhythm modification. So this one I use a lot. If it's a syncopated part, have them just play the first note of the group. Or, for example, the song El Perdón, do you guys know that? It's like reggaeton, basically. it's all upbeats, right? I had a bunch of students that got that immediately, and a bunch of others that were struggling so much. And so I decided to have them play on the downbeat. Is that okay? Sure, why not? It still sounds like the song. It could work. Omit. Sometimes it may be necessary to omit the frequency of chords in order to allow time to change. This happens for us all the time, right? So usually if there's like a guitar part where you're playing on all four and then switching, I'll go 1, 2, 3, switch, 1, 2, 3, switch, 1, 2, 3, switch. Or, you know, just strum the first chord, then find your fingers, and then do this next chord. Okay. This is one of the songs that we did for my show. Everybody knows this, right? Yes. I feel good. All right, so this chart is not the same key as the recording. And so, you didn't know that? I didn't know that. Yeah. So I changed it. So I made it in the correct key. And this is the chart that I made for my students. This is how I really modify charts in the classroom. I use a marker because I want to do it on the spot. I want them to tell me, and that's how it works. I added the lyrics because especially in this song, the whole part is driven by the lyrics. So good, I got you. So I felt like that was important. For this particular student, she switched it to the 3-finger chords here. She decided she didn't want to do the whole chord, and she just did that. I didn't change the chart. She felt comfortable with it, and that's what we did. We rested here because that's the bum, 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 and it was just too much. So we just waited. Page 2, same thing. I added the lyrics here because it worked for her. Does anybody want to try it? Anybody want to try to play it? Because I also have a keyboard part. So would anybody volunteer? Okay, 1, 2. Pick either guitar or keyboard. Great. Here, take this one. Okay. So let me just show can I ask your name? Okay. Spencer and Laura. Thank you, guys. So Laura's chart is here. Sweet. Two-page. Okay. And then Spencer is going to be looking at this, which is a chart that I wrote for 2 of my keyboard players who were having a lot of trouble with the chords. So they're playing the horn line. And this is how they liked to read it. They wanted the color coding, and they wanted it straight across. So that's what we did. So let's give it a try. I'll leave this one up. So who can do a really good, whoa! Can anybody do it? Okay, here we go. And then everybody else has to sing, okay? You guys know what comes after that, right? Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I feel good. I knew that I would now. I feel good. I knew that I would now. So good, bum, bum, so good. I got you. Bum, bum. And he knew that part, and that was great. Give them a round of applause. That was lovely.